But the theme of this test series, isn't it? 220, 210, teams cancel each other out. Good luck predicting where this test match and this series is heading. That job, of course, lies with Sanjay Manjrekar and Daryll Cullinan, and not myself, thankfully. On ESPN Cricket for Match Day, India are 57 for 2 at stumps in their third innings in what is yet again a rapidly progressing test match. We're into the third innings after 2 days play. So let's ask these fine gentlemen where this game stands. Let's start with Daryll Cullinan, who's now seen a full innings of South Africa batting too. See which team would be happy at the end of 2 days. Can we make that call, Daryll?
Well, I made the call that India would win the last test match with South Africa needing 240. But all I can say is I'd rather be, 70, 80 ahead, although I've lost 2 wickets, than 70 or 80 behind at this stage.
Fair enough that. Now, Sanjay Manjrekar has also seen how South Africa batted on a day where we're hearing a lot of praise for bowlers now. So how do you sum up these 2 days of cricket with regard to batting, Sanjay?
We are looking at 2 quality bowling lineups, but the fact also remains that we are seeing a series where we are seeing 2 not so great batting lineups. One is South Africa, that is weak on ability to begin with. And India, of course, not weak on ability, but on form. A lot of them off the boil a little bit. So it's a story of 2 teams with a weakness in the batting lineup.
All right, interesting that. And therefore, in what's been a sparse series in terms of hundreds, just the one so far, we must appreciate and applaud some 70s. We did that with Virat Kohli yesterday. Let's do it with Keegan Peterson today, Daryll, who seems to look the part, doesn't he?
But you can't help being excited about him. I'm, for one, who is. He showed that he was well organized outside off stump. But what I enjoyed the most about his innings, he looks like the sort of guy that's up for a scrap. He's got an idea of how he wants to play Test cricket, and he's prepared to spend time at the crease, whether he played down the wrong line or whatever. But it was that sort of innings. Another day, that would be 100. And I think the pleasing thing for him is he'll play in conditions which will be much easier to bat. So he looks a good one for South Africa, and that's very exciting because they've desperately needed a strong number 3 now for a while.
I've heard a lot of these jokes on wordplays on a KP or a Peterson batting for South Africa finally at number 3. What I'd also like to point out is his middle name is actually Daryll. So I wonder if Sanjay Manjrekar sees any sort of connections with the wonderful Daryll Cullinan, who was such a fine batter for South Africa. Daryll, by the way, can I get a reaction? He's got a middle name like Daryll. Does he bat a bit like you?
Is he? I didn't know that, but he is. I must point this out. He is Peterson. Kevin Peterson is not Peterson, he's Peterson.
Okay.
It's a P-I-E, and it gets pronounced incorrectly. It's Peterson, which is an Afrikaans surname. Peterson is an English surname.
All right.
Thanks for spoiling that, Daryll. Well done. Sometimes you can be a bit lenient with the facts to have some fun.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. Thank you, Daryll. For the 4 or 5 of you that are still watching our show after Daryll's class, we carry on the conversation. On a very serious note, Sanjay Manjrekar, I'm sure you liked what you saw of Keegan Peterson.
Yes, I have showered praises already in Hindi on our Hindi stream. And, I wish in this day and age, we had somebody like an Imran Khan, in his booming voice, he would announce an inzamam to the world. He said, give him a couple of years and I think he'll be one of the greatest batters in the world. I mean, he used to say batsman in those times. But I wish there's somebody there from South Africa who starts doing that with Keegan Peterson, because there is enough to really hype up this guy. In an age of T20 cricket, this is a guy who looks so good. He looks perfectly sort of made for Test cricket. It doesn't look to rush things, but scores briskly, puts the good balls away quite easily. When he bats, the pitch starts looking easy. The bowling starts looking a little playable. So he's got a lot of things going for him. And I just wish that there is more promotion of this talent from South Africa. He's a simple guy, so the package is not, a very attractive one. We live in an age where the marketing of a product also means a lot. And I hope Daryll can maybe take that responsibility of hyping this guy up, because there's lots to like about young Keegan Peterson.
All right. Now, fair enough. I'm sure we'll see more from Keegan Peterson, who, of course, was invested and given the chance to prove himself at number 3, number 4 in this innings because Maharaj came out to bat. But he didn't get a lot of support. The number 4s have cancelled each other out, 70s from Kohli and Peterson, and a highest score of 28 in the South African innings. Otherwise, Daryll from Temba Bavuma. It seemed to be a period of play where Rajiv Anderdusen was looking comfortable, Bavuma was looking comfortable. Then there were run-out chances. Anderdusen seemed to just lose it for a bit. Bavuma, after getting his eye, it seemed to get out. What does that tell you about conditions, perhaps, or about the batting in general?
Well, we can't keep excusing the conditions for some of the batting failures. I heard on commentary they keep saying, oh, that was a brilliant delivery. But too many batsmen, I thought India this evening as well, caught on the crease, squaring up. Bavuma, if he's honest with himself, never left the crease, caught on the crease, squaring up, nicked it off. Anderdusen, there's a pattern to his dismissals now, and it's been coming for a while where outside off stump, he's also one of those off stump believers, bat on off stump. And India have looked to just get it up there, believing that he's a good nick-off chance, playing away from the body. So as much as it has been tough, let's not forget that. But there have been too many times where we've seen batters caught in the crease, squaring up, playing away from their bodies, playing at balls they shouldn't be playing at. So they've got to be also brutally honest with themselves. Why I like Peterson, he was playing a sideways game. As long as Bavuma was in, my thought, he was playing a sideways game, which I think that's the basis of a sound technique if you want to bat for periods in Test cricket. All the greats of the past did. It's not just my opinion. Go and have a good look at them. That was the basis of the ability to spend time at the crease. Without a defensive technique that stands the test of time around the world, you're not going to be up there with the very best over a long period of time. And I think this has been neglected and it's just been sort of pushed aside. But there needs a better understanding, a thorough study now. The moment conditions, the ball's moving around, but I'm seeing too many technical faults being exposed.
Sanjay?
Nothing more to add. Perfectly assessed. Really, nothing more.
All right,
and this is what you get with the South African pitches, right? It tests the defense of batters.
Okay, then I've just got one question for Daryll as a follow-up. Can this be looked at and worked upon? Or is this just the best that there is on offer these days and we accept it?
No, absolutely. I think it can be. But, it probably starts at low levels. This is why, and I said it yesterday, I'm very interested to see what Rahul Dravid's now going to do. Because you can't tell me Rahul's not thinking the same way. That he needs to develop and work on solid technical batsmen. You get away with it. In your sort of conditions where it's less seam movement, the ball gets a bit older, the bounce is not quite there. But when you're faced with these conditions, Virat showed it. We can't say, because Virat's a great bowler. Batsman. Why is Virat such a good player? And a lot will depend on him tomorrow. But I've said it about subcontinent batsmen coming here. I've said it in 2018, whenever they've been coming here. I said it before the series. We're in an interview. That in between length, you've got to have good footwork in South Africa. You've got to cut down that movement. You've got to be back or you've got to get forward. And Sanjay's point is also good. That planting of that front foot. The moment you're planting, you can play around the pad in easier conditions and less bounce. But from there, you get stuck, turn, swivel, caught on the crease.
Right,
but you grow up playing like that. We had to learn to play in India as well. So that's the beauty and the challenge. And perhaps the influence of all the other cricket is not allowing players to be able to break that out.
And quickly, Raunak, you get pace and bounce in Australia as well. But over the last few years, the pitches in Australia have changed, and the ball tends to come in straight lines. And that's why Indian batters have been, better in Australia. South Africa, over the years, hasn't changed at all. And if you look at even Indian batters, who, great Indian batters, their record in South Africa is not the greatest. So it is a tough place to bat. And that's why, all these things get dissected a little more in South Africa.
Okay, fair enough. Before we move to the bowlers, and we will give them their share of credit, we will just finish the batting conversation with India's openers, where a tour that seemed to promise so much for Mayank Agarwal, Sanjay, with the 60s, then just gone off the boil a bit. Scores of 26 and 23 in the second test at the Wanderers, and he's now closed it out with scores of 15 and 7 in this one. Now, would you give him a little bit of, compassion given the challenging conditions, or has that been a disappointing end to a series that promised so much?
The coach and the selectors always look at a player they look at the runs. Obviously, you want the runs to keep a place on the side, but how you get out is a very important thing for a selector or a coach to decide the future of a player. And the way Mayank Agarwal has got out in the last few innings worries me. Until the start of this test match, I thought he was shaping well. He might find a way to, come with softer hands on the ball, leave balls outside the off stump. Outside the off stump, the channel is a tricky to handle. People, different batters handle it differently. Virat Kohli these days leaves everything that's outside the off stump. Some people play, some people are very confident. Mayank Agarwal needs to find a way to tackle that line. At the moment, he's just coming with a too hard sort of high back cliff, and the bat is sort of coming hard on the ball. The slip catch is also going so quickly to the slip catches to suggest that it's coming very hard. So Mayank Agarwal has a problem, and that is, I guess, work for the batting coach and Rahul Dravid.
All right, fair enough. Let's talk about the bowlers now, Daryl. On a day where we are being critical of the batters, how well have, say, Bumrah and Rabada bowl? Let's start with Bumrah. 5 wickets seem to be, league slightly above the other bowlers.
Well, it's a change of what we've seen from Bumrah in the space of a couple of days, but he bowled beautifully. The difference, I think that these guys are listening to what you have to say, Sanjay. They've got back into what you called for, that test line on and about off stump, and he was unrelenting there. You just felt, and there was a spell from Shami, I think it was his second or third spell. You just knew when he got those 2 wickets, they were going to make things happen. And Bumrah was tough work there today, but credit to him. I thought he was absolutely brilliant in the way that he was just stuck at that, got the wicket to do the sort of work, and the time that he put in. Look at his economy rate, absolutely brilliant. But he could have gone too straight, being too aggressive. And in the end of the day, look at those figures. India, that's what they were hoping for, and they got it from their main strike bowler.
Sanjay?
Yeah, look at Dean Elgar, caught Pujara in the slip. Then Peterson caught Pujara, bowled Bumrah. Markram leaving a ball outside the off stump. It was pitched outside the off stump. So changes line, which also tested another aspect of the South African batters. I was pushing for Ishant Sharma in this bowling attack because I wanted somebody to curb the runs. Now Bumrah did that role as well as the wicket-taking role. Change of line is the reason, and that just created another kind of challenge for the South African batters. And this is a guy who is a 5-wicket taker. You're not going to be happy with 3. Just bowled a beautiful line and enough in the pitch, and some obliging South African batters. So top class performance from Bumrah.
All right, simple as that. It's almost coming to expect it, but yes, he was better than we've seen, even by his own high standards, Jasprit Bumrah in this innings. Now, the difficult question, the $1 million question, the £1,000,000 question, Daryll Cullinan. We got the target for the 4th innings perhaps off. We underestimated, or the South African batter surprised us last test. So now 70 ahead. What sort of score puts this beyond South Africa? How do you see this pitch playing, this challenging pitch at Cape Town playing on days 3 and 4?
It's a bit of a tough one to call, but I think they've got to at least be 250, closer to 300 ahead. It's all about the wicket. I couldn't help thinking today there was still movement, but was there movement with the older ball? In fact, the movement has been so exaggerated that it's seldom. Have we seen a series where the batsmen have played and missed so much? And that's a discussion for another time. But I think India have got to feel that they have to get at least 250. I can't see the wicket getting better. I can't see it getting dramatically bad. But I think to feel confident, they've got to push on 70 ahead, at least another 170, 180. And I think that gives them a great opportunity here.
Sanjay?
See, this is the point I made about the toss. People should start thinking about using that first day for if you have a great bowling attack, because we keep talking about the cliche thing is about how the pitch is going to be on day 5, and again we are looking at a test match that might finish on day 3 or 4. So that point made, I just have no faith in the South African batting lineup. If Dean Elgar plays well, there is some hope. But when you have a batting lineup of the kind that you have with Marco Jansen coming so up in the order, I think 200 should be enough for India's bowling attack, the kind of attack that they have, with Bumrah now finding a way to bowl outside the off stump, so the runs will be hard to come by. So 200 should be enough. The last time they chased 240 was a combination of Elgar playing one of his best innings and India bowling poorly. That is unlikely to happen every time.
All right, fair enough. All depends on what India do in their third innings then. Can't rule out anything. Can't rule out an impressive 250 plus target. Can't even rule out a quick collapse. It's been that kind of series. Let's pick up the thoughts with Daryll, Cullinan and Sanjay Manjrekar at the end of day 3. This rapidly moving test. It's a decider, so there's plenty to look forward to. Please join us at Stumps on day 3 on ESPN Cricket for Match Day.
झालं माझं